I'll pop a bottle off of ya. Chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always at the guala, yeah. And you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa.
So basically, a few months ago, we posted this story, which got a lot of interaction. So the backstory behind it is every year we get a lot of messages from people that are competing in Pro-Am that have questions about their sponsorship approach. So why not just hit them all at once and just post our sponsorship pamphlet or deck, if you want, on our social media so they can just have a look and get inspired by it. And with that being said, we are no professional about sponsorship or business relation, but we've had a lot of success in the past, so it rang to a lot of people's bell and they came and asked us for help. But then it got me wondering, what do we do different in regards to other team? Like, is it just that their other people's deck are lacking, or does the deck even matters that much? So basically, I approached a bunch of companies, some that sponsor us, some that don't, and they have no idea who we are. But my whole goal behind it was to figure out what was the best sponsor approach, person-wise and company-wise, in the hopes that maybe we can help a person or two. And not only will you want to stick it till the end, because we are going to try to build an ideal sponsorship deck, we'll even be able to break down how you can make the same deck at home, and we'll even give you the files to be able to do it. With all that being said, let's just jump right into it. So the first thing I was wondering is, why did our approach work? Like, what was different? So I reached out to some of our current sponsors, starting with Justin Medina from Link ECU, which we've been working for about 3 or 4 years with. And my first thought was our deck was the money maker. What I brought to Justin, and then this was my question: what made you want to sponsor us in the first place? The fact that you guys had a structured team with clear events and goals, as well as a well-laid proposal. And this was a recurring theme. I even reached out to one of my good friend, Titan Fabrication, that just became friends with us by sponsoring us. So I just asked him, why did he sponsor us when we first started? And his response was pretty simple. The biggest thing was simply your sponsorship pamphlet / proposal. Okay, fair enough. So what makes a bad proposal then? So we have a really extreme case here, the classic, hey, can you sponsor me DM? It happens way more often than you might think. So I just reached out to a bunch of companies and asked them, what is their ideal sponsorship proposal or deck? Does it even matter? And basically everybody had the same answers to that. A short but well-based PDF / pamphlet that highlights what can you do for them. Which is fair, because as a racer, we always tend to ask for stuff, but realistically, what do we give back in return? Because you gotta remember, nothing is free. Sponsorship relationship is an exchange of service. You gotta think about sponsorship as an investment with an ROI. Okay, fair. What's an ROI? Well, an ROI is a return on investment. So basically, it's how much profit will they gain from the first investment, or initial investment if you want. And this is where your worst enemy comes to hunt you. Google Ads. Ed from Canada Tire's highlights in his stories, your ROI is brutal compared to what Google Ads can do for you. So let's keep going with Ed, for example. He's the sales manager. I can't say manager for shit. He's a sales manager at Canada Tires. So let's say if Ed sends you $2,500 of free stuff, that's great. But what if Ed's put that, for his example, $2,100 and puts it in targeted ads? This is fucking 400,000 to 1.1 million estimated reach. Wow. How can we compete with that? Well, basically this is where you shine. People hate ads. It's commonly known. So how often do you really stop and look at the sponsored ads on a YouTube videos? Or if you ever done a sponsored shootout post, you'll notice your engagement is way lower than a normal post. But here's the trick. Create content around it. Google Ad can create content. You can. And this is what Irving from KBD Body Kits emphasized, is what can you do that's different than anybody else? Because a person will be way more hooked up on a TikTok or an Instagram reel that is funny, that is engaging, than just a Google ad that they will scroll through their phone and just forget about it. So I jumped in on a call with one of my buddy that has a good piece of content that I thought was pretty interesting. Hello? Hello? Aha! How's it going, dude?
I'm Gerald Hernandez. I drive a Cadillac CTS. I have 2 of them. Started out as a podcast and turned it into like a full-fledged business.
So as a podcaster, Gerald has talked to many drivers. I was wondering how important was content?
Content's a big thing. Content is subjective because you got to be mindful that quality content to one person isn't the same as quality to somebody else. What I do notice a lot of drivers who aren't getting as much support when they're showing you like they're making like a dedicated post to like a tire company or something like that. It just doesn't seem to work well. But then when you see someone who's more like vague about like this tire they're working with, oh, I want to know more now.
So Aeromotive was not so much a sponsor for your program as drifting, but more for the podcast, wasn't it?
Correct. Put something in writing for yourself on a proposal. I, John Doe, am going to offer 26 episodes of the podcast sponsored by
Brand.
Will provide X, Y, and Z part in return, or whatever the deal it is you work out.
You follow too. Are you sponsored, right?
Fucking love that page. If you are looking at looking into sponsorships, that page is definitely something. It's a tool for you to know what not to do.
100%.
Yeah, you should definitely follow that fucking page.
This is the most important thing. How do you engage your community? Your accomplishment will undeniably be great to see, and sponsors expect to see them. But that's what Justin said about it whenever I asked him. Numbers are the most important things. It sounds terrible to say, but podium finishes at lower than pro level doesn't do anything for selling products. Let's create content around their products, which is not easy by any means. But be genuine, have fun with your product, be creative. People will be way more engaged if you're genuine about your stuff than if you're doing a forced sponsored shootout post. Alright, anyway, let's go back to our pamphlet. So I sent it over to Ed to see what he thought about the pamphlet itself. And I had 2 fears. 1, our pamphlet was too long. 2, it was visually too busy. I have ADHD, so like I like to have a lot of shit that goes on. But anyway, it's another topic. And I was right. Number 1. Too long, as you say, especially if sending unsolicited as a first-time ask. Number 2, visually very busy. Number 3, you don't list partnering options or what you offer until page 21 of 27. Okay, this one is very important. Thankfully, that's an easy fix. Okay, so let's redo our pamphlet with those things in mind. So we're gonna shrink it, make it less visually spicy. And since what matters the most to them is what they can get in return, let's put it in the forefront. And ta-da! Okay, so now we have our deck, but we're only halfway through our proposal. So let's focus to a company-specific proposal. Alright, sent. So we'll wait a couple of days and see what he says.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Well, that's good news. Seems like he enjoyed it, and it was more to the point than before. So all of that to say, yeah, we made our proposal way better. Fuck you. No, my whole idea behind it was to help people. So here's what I did. Link below will be a Google Drive link where you will find this exact proposal but with nothing written on it. You can download it. It explains to you what you need to put in your proposal. As Justin stated, this is a good round to start for your proposal. If I can help one person with this is enough for me. And if you need help, just DM us. We're right there. So hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully it helped you with your next sponsorship attempt. And if not, I'm sorry. And if you have any question, like I said, hit us up on Instagram. Peace.